If we're going to make that commitment to replace those 5 to 10 that a blade, or a truck, a plow actually took out, if we're gonna make them whole, not to the point to where if the plow took out a nicer ornamental mailbox, we're just gonna go out and put up a bare wood post and call it a mailbox. That's not fair to the investment that the homeowner made
Right.
either. So I just wanna make sure if we're going to replace it, we're going to replace it with like-kind materials and appearance as well.
Yeah, and to be clear, we're not gonna replace anything. They're going to replace it and submit it to us, but I'm with you. If, I think we need to differentiate here. If it's snow throw, the $200 maximum, you replace it, whatever. If it's struck by a vehicle, just like if it was, a patrol car or anything, we're gonna pay to have it fixed.
Right.
Because what I don't want is to disincentivize our residents from doing nice mailboxes, just because it got knocked over once.
I want to incentivize residents to doing mailboxes and posts and whatever they have according to the regulation. Because I think if we follow the regulations, we're going to have less issues.
Yeah.
But the brick ones, from my understanding, the brick, really nice,
They're not,
they don't meet the postal regulations.
No.
Correct.
But yet, we allow them to happen. You know?
Yeah, we don't permit for mailbox installation.
We don't require a permit. We allow people to put those in. So now, if the plow hits that, that's a couple $1,000s to fix that versus
The plow hit it.
77. Exactly. So then is it an insurance claim? I don't know what our deductibles are, how we go about that process. But again, those also, so when trustee Youngerman says, as long as they meet, we're replacing it to the standard for the USPS, that would not be replacing a brick mailbox because that does not meet the USPS standards.
Well, the standards of the height and distance of the box, the opening of it is,
Yeah,
right? So I mean, the standard
No, I
doesn't
don't think
say
the
whether
brick
I didn't
there's.
read the thing on
I'm with
materials.
you,
I'm
but
sure it's in
Unless we're
there.
gonna go through and tell people you can't put them in, you
can't
have
put
to
'em
take
in.
them out, we've consented to it, and we're gonna fix it.
if I may, we do have prohibited materials in the code that does say
Right,
that,
but we
so,
don't, we also don't enforce that.
correct.
But yet we're gonna replace them. So
Yeah.
you broke the rules, and now we're gonna pony up a bunch of money. And I'm not saying that they don't look nice, because they do. But if our code says you can't have them, and we don't enforce not having them, now we're gonna pay somebody to replace one that's out of compliance with our ordinance? So
No.
we either need to change the ordinance that doesn't banish those materials from being used, which might be the solution, or they're gonna get a post mailbox that meets.
Let me turn it back around to you. What kind of do the brick mailboxes appeal to you? Or do you
I
not
like
want
them.
people to do it?
I think they look great,
Then I think we amend the ordinance to take it out.
and I'm
if we're
good
not
with
gonna
that.
enforce it,
We need to do
it's not
one
our
or the
job
other.
to
We're
enforce
either
the
gonna
USPS.
amend the
Yeah.
ordinance and allow them,
Sure.
or we're not going to, and then we're not gonna replace them. But
And
we
if-
can't have it both ways. We can't
I'm with you.
have an ordinance say you're banning them, and yet we're gonna pay to replace them.
So let me ask you this.
The ones that don't get damaged, if they eventually deteriorate, you have to abide by if you have a brick mailbox, I'm not going to force you to take it down. It will be grandfathered in, I would believe, until such a time that it's dilapidated or deteriorated and it needs to be replaced. And then it needs to be replaced according to the code.
Sure. I have a couple neighbors that have the brick ones. They look really nice.
They do look
And they
nice.
don't, in my opinion, if it's not our job, I don't know that we're required to enforce the USPS regs. We don't want to hit them with our plows, so we do lean on that. But for the rest of it, I would just rather amend our ordinance.
So if we're going to allow brick mailboxes, that somebody's actually going to build something in the right of way, then do they require a permit? Where they have to have the footings, the foundation, because I mean, now they're not installing just a post, a mailbox, they're
I
actually
thought we
building
weren't
something.
allowing brick.
We can.
Well, right now, so
Right
the
now,
discussion
right.
was, right now, people have them, they're not allowed.
Correct.
People have them,
We're not enforcing it.
but we're not enforcing it. So now, what do? If we damage one, we're gonna replace it. But now we're replacing something that's not within the ordinances that we have. So we need to amend the ordinance to take them out, or we need to rewrite the ordinance to, like you're suggesting, grandfather people in, or, I think they look nice. power to you, but again, trustee Geyer's point, somebody needs to make sure they're doing it right, because it's actually technically on village property, right? Is that considered?
I
a
heard Attorney
permanent structure?
Julian say that there were materials in our ordinance.
Yeah.
Is brick one of them?
Prohibited.
Prohibited.
That is brick, block,
There you go.
stone, concrete, masonry, columns, wagon wheels, or steel pipes.
Yep. And that we don't enforce. Correct?
I would say we don't currently make people remove them if they have them, but if people call and ask, we tell them that those are not allowed and they cannot put in that type. So what is existing we've kind of taken the stance that it can remain, so provided it's being maintained, but it can't be replaced. And then we don't allow any new ones.
I mean, it
And we
can
would
be
enforce
replaced
if
'cause
somebody
nobody
tried to
came
put
in
a
for
new one
permit
up.
Ever anyway,
If
right?
nobody called and asked, you're
If-
just gonna
Right,
do
they
it.
just did it.
If I have a shed in my backyard and no one knows about it for 4 years, and then all of a sudden the village finds out about it, is it grandfathered in because no one said anything for 4 years?
It depends. Typically, we probably would actually make you come in and get a permit, or we'd ask you, like if it was in an easement or something, we'd ask you to move it.
That plus fine, right? Because there's a fine if you build without a permit.
It's a double permit fee.
So, yeah, so you would get whacked with a double permit fee.
But I say I put it in an easement, no one saw it for 4 or 5 years, right? No one said anything, and then code enforcement was driving by one day and they saw it. Am I okay because I've had it for 4 years? Well, then why are you with the mailbox?
Because I like the mailboxes and I.
It doesn't matter, my shed could be the best
He
shed
can
ever.
change the
A brick
ordinance if you'd like
mailbox,
to.
I mean, since we brought it up in conversation, I would like us to see change the ordinance.
I'm with
You're
you.
talking about an item that it's going to enhance the appeal of the home, enhance the appeal of the neighborhood, the curb line of the street as you're driving by. Why would we not allow a nice brick mailbox?
If it's
So if I
according
could
to
just
code.
interject one quick comment on why we would propose not to have those. So as we stated before, they're located in the right-of-way. Majority of our utilities, sanitary water, storm sewer are located in those right-of-ways as well. So when we go through and we do replacements or we do maintenance or we have emergency repairs and these costly mailboxes need to be removed during that process to perform that work, it can become a expensive endeavor for the village to replace those throughout the village. So that's one of the major reasons why that we would be opposed to that.
I don't see us having hundreds of them throughout the village, but if we have 30 homes that wanted to do them, I wouldn't object to them
Yep.
wanting to put that up. Again, it's only going to enhance the appearance of the neighborhood. It's an improvement.
I'm with you 100%.
I mean, it would look a lot better than these standard either unstained wood posts or vanilla white posts that are out there,
Yeah, the plastic.
where everything looks identical.
Yep.
And for those in the media that are reporting this, all subject to your HOA's approval.
Right.
Because my HOA would not approve a
Neither
brick
would
mailbox.
mine.
Neither would mine, no.
So, again, so as long as we're on record, we can change our ordinances all we
So,
want. But
Steve,
the HOA rules, if they're more restrictive.
are the two of you in the same street? HOA?
No.
Yeah.
Brawley and I are.
Yeah.
So how do you have homes that have them if the HOA doesn't approve them?
I
on
guess
the
that's a question for our HOA. Our
The
HOA isn't
didn't-
doing a good
did not
job.
approve it, yeah.
We will have discussions with them tomorrow.
But to the specifics, I would just want to make sure I'm in agreement to, if our trucks take out a mailbox, that we do replace it as whole regardless of the material that it's made of.
We make
I think
them
it's
whole.
our
Are
right
we,
to make them whole.
well, hold on, just to clarify what you're saying. We're not doing it, they're doing it, and they're showing us receipts, and then we're reimbursing.
Yes.
We're reimbursing once we know that it's based upon the appropriate height and distance away from the back of curb.
Yep.
If it's not, you got to do it again.
Yeah.
And then we'll
100%.
give you the money.
And there's a process, correct? If we damage someone's mailbox, they contact Public Works inspects it, then you guys will work with them as far as, this is what you have to do, this is where you have to, so it's not just that somebody has their mailbox damaged and they just go out and replace it and then just turn in a receipt. There's a procedure they have to follow.
Correct.
Well,
So-
absolutely, like if there's video footage of an obvious,
Right?
strike. yes, that,
But I'm going to tell you right now, Mark, you're going to be the bad guy when you have to tell residents, no, it wasn't a plow, that it would snow. That, none of us are going to deal with that. That's all you.
And if it can't be determined,
Right.
then it was snow.
And I will say too, when I said that, the village's policy used to be if we broke it, we fix it. There were cases where we would go out and we would look, and the post was rotten. I mean, just completely rotten. And, the wind could have blown it over. So, yeah, there are judgment calls that you have to make. We're not going to replace everybody's mailbox. That's rotten.
Yeah.
right, no, understood. If the snow
Yeah.
took it out, it was rotten, that's fine. But regardless of whether the post was rotten or not, if there was an obvious strike,
Correct, yeah. I mean, it's an accident.
But even if it's
Yeah.
rotten, we would do, and it was snow throw,
Correct.
we would still do
So
the
the-
up to
the
$200
reimbursement.
max, yeah.
The ordinance states that if it's the arm or the post that is broken, regardless of whether it's to a plow strike or it's to the snow, if it damages the post or the arm, they're eligible. If it detaches the box from the post and the post is intact, then we don't pay any, they're not eligible at all.
Because they can screw it back on.
You pick up the mailbox and reattach it.
Yeah, better this time.
Yeah, the plate's like 12 or 15 bucks. The board, if it breaks the board, it's really designed, if you get the right board, they're, what kind of lumber? They're not pine, they're cedar or something like that. So they're designed so that you attach the mailbox to the board and the board to the post. And so then the piece of wood is the weakest length. So if you hit the mailbox, the wood shatters, doesn't damage the box, doesn't damage the post. Then all you have to do is replace that board, and that board's like 12 or 15 bucks to replace.
I always snow blow the snow up around the post, and it
Right.
becomes a frozen icicle
That's what I do too.
until like March, yeah.
I do the same.
So you're violating the postal reg.
I have a question. So when we're talking about the reimbursement, are we saying just for the materials, or like our resident, Ms. Linda said, also for installation? Like, I wouldn't be able to go out and do an installation. I'd have to hire someone as well. So then is that included in the reimbursement?
For the 200?
No,
for
if we take
strike?
out, if it's a strike and it has to be replaced, and we're including,
it whole,
okay.
But
I
if
just want to
it's-
make
But
sure.
if it's snow throw, it's not.
If it's
right?
snow throw,
Because
that's
you gotta make
part
sure
of
that the
clearing the
quality of your
street.
mailbox, yes.
Yeah.
And so overarching theme is here, I want people to take pride in the appearance of their home, which includes mailboxes, to have a nice, attractive mailbox for their home. I want to encourage that. I don't want to do anything here that
Right.
makes people not do that. And then the $200 is because if you have to hire somebody, you can't do it for $75, and it's a pain. So that's it. And you know what? The bigger theme here is that we shouldn't, and we don't, hit mailboxes often with equipment. And if we do, we're going to
Right.
make people right.
Then we do it. then
Director
we-
Wolf, I would assume your staff is letting you know if they hit a mailbox.
Yeah, if they're aware that they hit one.
Is there any
they're definitely-
repercussions for that, or?
It's case by case, I would say, depending on the circumstance. We've had one where, driver admitted that he hit one, he slid on the ice while turning around. I don't feel he was, in the wrong, if you would say, to be disciplined for that. So in that case, no. But yeah, we look at them at a case by case basis for sure.
And can I just say, I absolutely appreciate that the snow gets plowed off the street. I'm very appreciative of that, and I feel like, nobody goes out there and does this intentionally. And I know when the snow is flying, we hear a lot from, they just keep throwing the snow back on my driveway and up against my mailbox or whatever it is. But I appreciate that your folks are out there doing that.
Yeah, my thought was that it's not intentional.
No,
Yeah.
no, and again, I mean, our purpose is to clear the roadway, not to cause more work for ourselves, more headache. Definitely, we deal with a lot of residents who are frustrated that this occurs, and of course, Renee takes the brunt of that, unfortunately. She does a great job of that, but we inform people, and we try to move forward as best we can. So we understand it, and the thing that we try to convey to our residents is that when our drivers are out and they're spending 12 to 16 hours behind the wheel, they're going home to find these same issues in front of their home, whether it's windrows at the end of their driveway, whether it's their mailboxes broken or damaged. We're not immune to that either, so we understand.
Are we going to institute a ride along with the plow driver program. It starts about midnight and goes for about 4 or 5 hours, so residents can really see what it's like.
Sure.
Well, yeah, it doesn't start at midnight. You get called in when the plow driver gets called in, so you don't know. It's
sure.
not predetermined.
Like a
Super
You
Bowl
just get called
Sunday.
in.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
let them see what it's really like.
Yeah.
All right, well, staff will chew on this and we'll see it at a future meeting. Thank you. All right, anything
So
new or
let me ask
unfinished?
you this. So what about the people who have claims in now? Are we going to wait until we pass this
Yeah.
ordinance then,
Yeah.
and then retro it back?
Mhm.
Okay, perfect.
Okay,
New or unfinished?
new or unfinished?
I'd like to commend the Montgomery Police Department on the Polar Plunge and the competitive nature of the beast, in which anybody that participates is. On our way there, Commander Diaz noticed that Geneva Police and Fire, they have to take two to get combined, nosed ahead of us. So I was on the phone with my wife. I need you to go make another $50 donation. And about 3 other officers did the same thing. So it was just a great event. I mean, great camaraderie with the folks and everything, and the Polar Plunge folks do a great job of hosting that, and Roadhouse 71 hosted an after party and had like appetizers for all the plungers, and it was just a well-done, well-orchestrated event. So hats off to PD for all of that. Even communication manager, did a little jump into the pond this year, so it was great. Thank you.
I have an item. I'd like to continue to talk about snow for a minute, our favorite item. We've kind of kicked around the idea of increasing the fine for the snow ordinance. I think right now, the initial snow ordinance fine is $25 when vehicles are parked on the street after 2 inches. I'd like to see it raised to $100. And the reason for this is because it gets people's attention, it gets them to move their vehicles. It's causing us difficulty in snow removal. It's costing the 95% of the taxpayers and residents that follow the ordinance, it's the 5% is causing them a great headache, because if I don't get my vehicle off the street and I park in front of Teresa's house, I'm not parked in front of my own house. I'm essentially making it difficult for you to get into your driveway or get to your mailbox or whatever, and it's costing us additional money and additional time because of our public works. We have to go out there. We've talked about this for a long time. When we initially did our fee structure, I think it started at 25. Like I said, I'd like to see it at 100. I'd like to see it become a local ordinance citation. If it's not paid within 7 days, it goes to 150. I think that will start to solve some of the problems as far as snow removal, because I've been a board member for 10 years, and for 10 years, it's been a pain in the ass.
But,
So I'd like to see it on the agenda at a future meeting.
any objection?
No.
You guys can look into it. Perfect. All right,
Thank you.
anything else? Perfect, thanks for coming. All right, future meetings, committee of the whole meeting, is that going to be canceled? Yes. That'll be canceled on Tuesday, March 16th. And then the intergov is canceled too? Yes. All right. And we just have the board meeting on Monday, March 25th. No executive session. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Yes. Trustee Youngerman.
Yes.
Trustee Marisak.
Yes.
Trustee Brazaska.
Yes.
Trustee Guyer.
Yes.
Trustee Spurling. Yes. Trustee Bauman.
And we're adjourned. Thank you.